Hello and welcome to our webinar this evening. I'm delighted to see some of you are here. My name is Louise and I work for Thinglink, and I'm delighted to be joined today by a very good colleague and friend of Thinglink. I've known Tom for a long time. He's going to be joining us, and we've prepared this webinar for you. It's unusual for me to be joining you at 10 p.m. In the evening. I haven't quite got my pajamas or my chamomile tea out or my cocoa. But yeah, we wanted to put together a webinar specifically for US educators. Now that the summer holidays are sadly over and we're going back to school, and it definitely feels like the fall, it's on its way. I don't know about you, but I'm surrounded by fields here, and the harvest combine harvesters are all out there today. So I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by my colleague, Tom. Tom, welcome to the webinar.
Hey, Louise, what a pleasure to be here. I hope all is great with you.
Yeah, it's really good.
I was just about to say, you may hear my cat from time to time. She's fine. She just is a little fussy, and yeah. So,
well, there's one person who's joining us on the webinar who certainly is no strangers to cats making an appearance. Hi, Amanda. Welcome. And we've got our colleague from Ohio. I'll talk about Madison in a moment. And we've got someone from New Zealand that's joined us as well. So thank you. Do say hello and where you are as you're joining us. If you're watching on the replay, we've made sure that we're going to cover as much as we possibly can, and you can watch at your leisure, and we'll send all the links out to you afterwards as well, so you're not going to miss out. Yes, Amanda's got cats and dogs and birds who frequently make an appearance in our webinars. And I do have Tallulah under the desk as well, so she might pop up and say hello. She's a bit confused why we're not going to bed yet. So we've got someone from Pittsburgh joining us. Welcome. Really glad that you could join us from Penn State. So this webinar is going to last about 50 minutes or so, Tom. Yeah, we can have a good discussion, and we put some learning objectives out there. But really, this is, a time for everyone to ask questions as well. And we'd love to hear from you. So do ask anything if you've got any questions at all. Now, Tom, I have known you for quite a few years now, I think. Probably goes back to about 2015, maybe, when I first came across some of your work and you were creating digital breakouts. You were already then sharing your ideas with lots of people across your learning networks. But tell us a bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Louise. And yes, if you're making a digital escape room, Thinglink is a wonderful tool to embed. Thinglink embeds nicely on websites, so it really works nicely. And of course, you can just add little pieces of content and little things to engage students. So my background is I was a special education teacher for a long time, for about 10 years. I then taught history here in the US, and then went into ed tech coaching. And now what I do is I do professional development, whether here in my basement or, in person. And that's kind of what I do now. And I always, you try to talk to teachers about, hey, take advantage of the technology, use it for more than just research and word processing, make the content accessible and engaging and interactive for your students. And so Thinglink is a wonderful exemplar to point to as, hey, this is one of those tools that does that makes it more than just we're reading or we're word processing or we're researching. So it's a real pleasure to be with you today, Louise.
Oh, well, I'm really glad that you're able to join us. And I did have a look at some of the comments on some of your blog posts from your website. And this is a quote from someone who left a comment, which is, "This is one of my favorite resources. I am encouraged, I am fed knowledge and gain great resources. Tom has been such a light in my career and will greatly impact my students." And I just was so touched for you when I read that, because that's just a wonderful thing for someone to say, and it is, of course, all true.
And when I think back to some of the struggles I had in the classroom and some of the times where I leaned on others for help, so that is very, very gratifying to hear something like that, for sure.
Yeah, and it's just a start as well, because obviously we're going to be talking a little bit about AI, and we're seeing, lots of conversations across our learning networks about AI, and we thought this would be a great opportunity because we are going to be really honest and open, and as you know, with the conversations we've had in our other webinars up to now, we really want to have this dialogue where we're asking our creators, our educators, to say what they think we should be doing, and where their thoughts are and what their concerns are. And I think that's a really good place to be, just to have those kind of honest conversations. We've got someone that's joined us from New Mexico. Hi, Angela. Lovely to see you join us. Also joining us, we have two of my colleagues who are in your Thinglink team, Joel and Madison. And if you see someone answering as Thinglink in the chat, that's Joel. And Joel and Madison are our US team. I've put their email addresses there as well. Joel and Madison can handle any account queries and also look after everybody as well. So we're just delighted that they are actually going to be in the chat, and Madison's going to be sharing some of her ideas as well. So a big welcome to Joel and Madison. So I think it's always a really good opportunity for me at the top of the webinar just to show people a little bit about Thinglink. Hi, New Mexico. A little bit about Thinglink. If you haven't used Thinglink already, and some of you might not have used Thinglink and might be joining us for the first time, so I think it's a really nice opportunity for me to give you a little explanation. And we are hugely proud this year. We won the BET Awards, which is like the equivalent of ISTE here in the UK and Europe, and that was Best Digital Learning Product, and a similar title for the JES Dubai Awards as well. But Thinglink's about 12 years old now. So it wasn't a tool that just was sprung up in a kind of flash during the pandemic. And Thinglink is a patented technology, and it's known really for the original uses, which was how quick and easy it is to upload your images or use images that we provide, to upload your videos, your 360 media. By that we mean 360 images that you can create. And a little spoiler here, we're going to be showing you how you can use your phone to create 360 images as well. But of course, 360 videos. And then as the times grew and we saw people using 3D models more in learning, we enhanced Thinglink to be able to annotate 3D models as well. So I think we're covering most of the media bases there. And of course, you can make them interactive with clickable hotspots. And I've got some great examples that I'm going to be showing you as well that will bring all that to light. But Thinglink, as I mentioned, has grown. And in this webinar, we're going to be showing you some of the new features and tools that are out there, as well as discussing the uses we see of Thinglink, including AI. I feel really privileged, actually, because Thinglink has 10 million creators now, but being in the team, I get to see all of the things that people are creating globally. And I feel quite privileged because I've seen the most amazing examples, and a lot started springing up during the pandemic, of course. But seeing people start to use it, and then using how, new 360 media and now AI tools as well, it's been a real privilege to get a feel for that. But on the left there, you see the larger box for the Thinglink editor, which was the OG, if you like, the original and the best, we like to call it. And then people said to us, well, wouldn't it be great if you could build pick your own path adventures? And that's exactly what we did with the scenario builder. We also introduced guided tours as well, because we heard from our communities that sometimes you can create kind of free-form 360 tours, virtual tours and field trips. And actually, you know, for some people, you might want a little bit of structure just to hold their hand through that experience. So we introduced guided tours. We are also going to be introduced. I get so excited, I trip over my words. We are also going to be introducing a Thinglink AR app, and I can show you what that looks like a little bit further on. And I mentioned our Pano to 360 tool. And we've just got someone else joining us from Wisconsin. Welcome. Lovely to see you here. But Tom, when you started using Thinglink, and you've known and used it for a long time now as well, and have seen, you know, all of these developments, it's quite something to keep up with.
Yes, and that original Thinglink editor, that's what drew me to it years and years ago. Being a history teacher, there's a lot of images. There's a lot of, you know, just this historical figure, this painting, whatever it might be. And to be able to make those images kind of speak to students, make them more multimodal. So if I click on one thing, I get a little video to explain the image. I can put a little definition, great for vocabulary. So that is just, hey, I have images and I want to make them a base for more interactive learning to take place. Right there you go. I mean, you can put a Google form on there. You can do all sorts of wonderful things with Thinglink. And now I'm very excited. I know we'll have time a little bit later. The whole Pano to 360 thing, that anyone with their phone can do this. If you have a phone and a web browser, you can do this. And so this is really exciting stuff. We'll get there.
Great, thanks, Tom. And I thought it would be good to give a little bit of an illustration. And just as you mentioned there, thanks, Amanda. Yeah, it does get incredible developments and just gets better and better. And I've actually put this as a link in the deck, which you get in the email at the end. But I thought it'd be good to just illustrate some of the new things that you'll see. And I mentioned 3D objects. So this is an interactive choice board that I've just kind of spun up. I've put a link in here with a transparent tag, which is a welcome. So you can welcome your students to a whole range of choices. And actually, this was an idea we saw from an educator called Laurie Salome, based in Austin in Texas. And I've kept the similar format for the choice board. But what I loved about this is that she really embraced the universal design of learning, UDL methods, because what she did is she had different colored icons that meant different things that the students were used to. Different tasks had different types of icons. But yeah, just to illustrate how you can bring, you know, something to life. Here I've got a medieval figure because the tasks in here are about the medieval period. And I thought it'd be quite fun because I started using more emojis there just to show what that looked like in Immersive Reader as well. So obviously you can open up the text tag part into Immersive Reader. And
European castle this week.
So I just thought it's saying European castle because it knows that that's a European castle. I thought that was really funny because I've never done this before. And I did this as a test just before we came on to the webinar. But yes, yeah, so you have Immersive Reader that's built into those text and media tags. And
I was just about to say, I love seeing that Immersive Reader icon. That is so wonderful. Now, of course, the Thinglink, you can always add your own voice, and I think you'll have an example of that later. And that's lovely, and it gives that tone and intonation. But to have it, to just know that, hey, if I type anything in this, it will be read to my kids if they need it. It's really nice.
And then on this example, which you'll get in the email with the deck, you can obviously use our embed tag to use. And this is a Thinglink that's embedded using the embed tag. So it's a bit of a kind of hacky way of doing it, but it means that if you want to have a video Thinglink that has the explainer, you can use our embed tag just to pop that in as well. So yeah, lots and lots of ways in which you can use it. Thanks. Yeah, there's a really nice point about choice and agency there as well. It's really funny, actually, and you know that I do like to hop about in my webinars, but I'm just going to share this tab. So you know how we're seeing in AI a lot of people creating talking images or talking avatars using Midjourney and something like DID. And I was actually thinking, that's not quite new, because we've seen educators using Thinglink tags to put videos in. And this was one of Amanda's that she did in 2021. And we love pets here at Thinglink. And we had a little chat about that earlier on, as we might get an appearance from dogs or cats. But here's Amanda's.
Hi, boys and girls. Hobbs here. I just thought you might need a wee hand getting organised. I've sorted things into sort of like a wee timetable. Click on the blue button and you'll find it.
But not only the cat, she also had the dog.
Good morning, Primary 1 Brilliant. I hope you've all had a splendiferous weekend.
Isn't that just fantastic? But, you know, Amanda was doing these things back in 2021 using My Talking Pet. So I think it's really nice and comforting to think that there isn't just a whole load of things that are just springing up all of a sudden. You know, there has been educators that have been using some of these tools for a while. But yeah, that's just a really nice example of an interactive choice board. And then, of course, we've seen a real explosion in the last few years where people were using Thinglink for virtual tours, but also virtual field trips, because they saw the benefit of, it wasn't just because of the pandemic and they wanted to create experiences, that actually these are great things to have now. If you're going on the actual field trip, you can show your students what it's going to look like before they get there. So for some students, that kind of transition is actually a really much more comforting experience. But you could say, and that's where the toilets are, and that's where this is, and that's where that is. And you can get rid of that and focus on the trip itself. And then afterwards, having something like this as an aid memoir to what the trip was like, or students creating their own interpretation of that field trip. And I just think that that is really elevating that experience.
As a former special education teacher, preparing students for new experiences, what a wonderful tool.
No. And of course, here comes the bit about AI, and we wanted to start kind of introducing this, and we'd love to hear from you who are watching what your thoughts are. But now, of course, we're seeing experiences where, like this, where this is an example that's been created as a 360 image, which has been generated with Skybox Blockade. And the educator here, who's actually called Dan Fitzpatrick, he actually created a learning resource to inspire people's imaginations about the book To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And he's got tags where he's created the imaginary figure of Jem Finch. And, you know, obviously you've got Immersive Reader built in there, but then he used a Midjourney with the image, but also brought the character to life, which is Scout.
Well, howdy there. I'm Jean-Louise, but folks around here just call me Scout. I reckon you're here to pay us a visit at the old Finch residence. You sure picked a fine day to drop by. This here is our humble abode, a snug little place in the heart of Maycomb.
So, yeah, I don't know what your first thoughts are when you saw that, Tom, because I was a bit like, that reminds me of Amanda, and she was doing it ages ago with My Talking Pet, but it just has a different feel to it now, doesn't it?
It does. And, you know, I would say that when we're teaching students, you know, I'll give you an example, right? Memes. And I've seen people on social media say, well, don't use things you don't have the right to. But, you know, we all use memes in our daily social media practice, right? My point there is that, that video of Gem, or excuse me, of Scout, and the picture of Gem, if that's helping students visualize this novel, this very important novel, that's wonderful. If someone were to take that and sell it at an art gallery next to an actual art piece, then I might be a little uncomfortable with that. But as for a classroom use, I think that's really innocuous and good stuff for sure.
I think you and I can say that because I think you've always been very positive about the use of technology, and you tend to see the positives, but also be quite balanced about having a healthy degree of kind of skepticism about every new technology, not just what we're seeing with AI. And of course, AI has been around for a long time, and it's kind of since ChatGPT it was like, where were you when ChatGPT came out? Yeah, you can remember what week it was. It's like that seemed to be such a hyped thing that it kind of framed AI as being ChatGPT, and I think that's what people suddenly kind of got hooked onto.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I think we've talked about this, but a future where students are talking to chatbots doesn't excite me very much. But if they're using it to create things, and we can talk more about other things that come up, and we'll talk about it with Pano to 360. Yeah. That is definitely a lot more endearing, or I guess inspiring, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, anyway, we'll talk more. But yeah, for sure. I know a lot of people are very excited about ChatGPT. I don't share that enthusiasm. But bringing something like and think about To Kill a Mockingbird. I never taught it, but I learned it in U.S. 9th grade history, English language arts. And I had a black and white movie with Gregory Peck, which was, it was a great film, but for 15-year-olds, a black and white movie is going to be a little hard. And I can only imagine how difficult it would be to use that. Yeah. And so to have something like this is definitely a nice tool for teachers for sure.
Do you know, and there's a really good book, and I've referred to it quite a few times. I'm looking at my bookshelf over there, and it's called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. And they're both former teachers, and they describe the impact that actually if you were teaching and you wanted to have a courtroom drama, for example, which was in a text that they were studying, wouldn't it be great to take those students to that a courtroom and actually read the text in the courtroom? And they actually did that and discussed that, how students remember that text now because of that experience. So they created a really powerful moment. And I think that we're seeing, those kinds of impactful moments being created in a digital format. And I'm quite excited about that and the experience. But yeah, how it's done is, that's another conversation. About this one as well. So we do have it's now called the transit tag. It was called the tour tag. We've changed it to transit because we have conditional transitions as well. And here you can actually go to the courthouse. And this is another image that's been created with Skybox Labs. And then you are able to hear a bit more about Atticus there. So I think that's a nice example. And we've got some nice comments coming in. Amanda saying, yeah, totally agree. There's so many IO tools out there we can leverage to power up our lessons. Yeah, great comment. A nice big thumbs up as well from Mohammed. So that's quite an interesting example. And we're seeing quite a few of these kind of being generated. And then there's this example where someone's tried to use it almost in a project-based learning kind of capacity. So the project here is about Rutherford and Ernest Rutherford. And in this example, they've created that background using Skybox Labs. And I think this was actually generated so that generated for teachers to actually see some other AI tools in action. And they've also put in here a Google Doc where they wanted to have an interview with Sir Ernest Rutherford, and they used ChatGPT and Google Bard just to see what the kind of differences between the two were. But they've used our embed tag to embed the Google Doc in there. And I think that's quite interesting. And I do get a little bit concerned about that, because it's almost like we're anthropomorphizing the fact that this is a person.
Oh, and that is one of the things. I mean, that goes back apparently to the 60s when large language models were just starting out, is that people just believe whatever they say.
Yeah.
If you were to do a thing where you were to generate the text from two different ones and then have students maybe analyze it in a Google Doc, that would be a little different. I would be a little uncomfortable with students directly talking to the chatbot and saying, hey, you're this famous scientist, right? But if you, as a teacher, if you put a filter in there, that's not that could definitely help, I would say, mitigate that issue.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think there's shame. I don't think we should have a kind of culture of shame of using AI tools. And I think you're right. You can say, yes, I did this by remixing an image or having a conversation with ChatGPT, because if you can demonstrate how, you know, you've remixed it and worked it, and to get good content, you need to kind of keep remixing it, don't you? And you have to know the right prompts, and there's lots of talk about prompt engineers of the future. So I guess, I'm just trying to work out still in my own mind, and it'd be great to hear what other people think, is that, you know, should we just expect people to say where they're citing their sources? We should do, obviously, but how does that work when something's being created using something like ChatGPT?
Yeah, and I do wonder, you know, we're being told that this will save us all this work, and then I also see on a whole courses online about writing good prompts for ChatGPT. So it's like, oh, great, I get to learn a whole new skill, and is that really saving me time? Anyway.
Yeah, so there's lots of talk about kind of it being used to help teachers save time as well, where they can concentrate on the face-to-face engagements. And I do like the sound of that. I just think that as a parent or as a young person, I want to know my feedback was something that my teacher did for me, that wasn't like auto-graded or, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know. I just want a connection. Maybe it's because I like being told I've done, like, get good girl points or something.
No, we all want to be, we all want to be affirmed for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So much we could talk about in this as well. But that's a really nice example. If you want to hit the on this slide, you'll be able to go and explore it. And I'm really pleased to be able to share that with the permission of Rob, who works at the Diocesan School in New Zealand. Now, this is really interesting. So we're seeing more things like this appearing, and people are starting to use Thinglink to create point and click games. And as a massive Monkey Island fan, a diehard LucasArts fan, and I also like Grim Fandango. And I think Zelda was one of those ones as well. I'm probably showing my age now. I'm going to show you this example because, this was quite fantastic. So with this one, and I'll shut the music down to quite loud, just to give you a bit of ambience first. So this is, again, created with Skybox Labs, and you can see they've used our map feature so you can see where things are, and you have to answer the question right before you can move on. So I know there's 15 statues there, and it takes you to the next room. So there are people now building whole games out of Thinglink using tools to create kind of fantasy worlds, because each scene is in context with the next scene. Don't know what you think.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And I, as an expert on, well, maybe not an expert, as someone who's used game-based learning, that's very, very true. That it really, it's a great way for kids to learn. In some ways, not even realize they're learning.
Yeah, especially if you can build in. I love the idea of having like game designs that are built in real world contexts as well, which we could do when we talk about the Pano to 360 example. And I'm just going to show you, because I really wanted to show people this. So this is the tool that we've talked about. And one of the things we wanted to do in this webinar is to show you some AI tools that we're seeing that we are not quality assuring, but we're seeing some really nice uses of. And you never know, watch this space. There might be some kind of integration coming up. But this is Skybox Labs. And here we can easily create a 360 image. I think it's free at the moment. It might not be. So I don't know if you've got any ideas for a wee prompt I could put in there.
So let's do, can I do one that's a little bit specific? Let's just see.
Yeah, of course you can.
All right. I would say commercial district, inner Sunset, San Francisco. I got over this shoulder, I got Golden Gate Bridge, but I kind of, let's play with that.
District. Can you say that again?
Inner Sunset, because that's the area I want to go to.
Inner Sunset.
And then we'll say San Francisco. Yeah, I gave you a 6-word prompt, Louise. You're welcome.
Cisco. There we go.
There you go.
Right. And we'll choose advanced no style. And bear in mind, this is just like a quick exercise that we've just done on the hoof. And it's really quick. You can see that there's a green line that's kind of moving along the top there.
Oh, yes.
And of course, you have the ability to remix, and this is just getting better and better. You can put your own shapes in and sketch things out. Amanda's already spinning with ideas, getting kids to write stories with pathways. Great idea. Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. So there it is. And just scroll. Let's rotate around.
That's
so. All right. I definitely have some thoughts. So that street is going down towards the sunset. So that's right. The streets are, I have some thoughts. It definitely has elements of San Francisco. Inner Sunset is where it's like maybe missing a little bit. Asphalt road.
So yes, it's kind of enhanced my prompt and said commercial district, asphalt roads, lined buildings, foggy ambience, glowing street lights. And it is easy enough just to download that and upload that to Thinglink and start adding tags. So if you didn't have any content, you could pretty much spin up a commercial place or at a commercial kitchen or something. And I'm thinking, kind of work experience and thinking about careers and creating your own health and safety games, and that sounds a little bit boring, but you know what I mean? It's like you could really go, get really creative with this.
A specific commercial kitchen or a workspace that an AI might be able to do. I threw a lot of stuff at it there.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Oh my goodness. Right. I'm conscious of time as well.
Yes.
So I thought that was a bit fun, but also, we talked about this when we were preparing for this webinar, and there's been a lot of talk and I think pressure on teachers to adapt and start using AI tools. And I feel really quite concerned when I see headlines that teachers' jobs are going to be, teachers with AI are going to get the jobs that teachers who don't use AI won't get, and, things like this. And I think that's a really damaging rhetoric. So I also wanted to think about, how might we help teachers to teach in the era of AI and not just think about AI tools?
Yes, and making things that are, I don't know if you chat GPT proof, or, that because, it's, no matter how you feel about AI, don't use AI checkers. That's not a good thing. But this is something here, this example you have here is clearly someone being creative. They're throwing in their voice, they're throwing in some photography and documenting things that they do. That's really nice.
So this
and you
is
don't need to, type it into,
So, look, see, I've stopped sharing. I'll have to present my screen again. I accidentally hit the share screen button. Let me just go back to that and pop that back on the screen. There we go. So I would love to show you, share this tab. That's what I was going to do. So this is the actual example. And this young person has actually built a resume.
My name is Hamish, and I ski with Tango Biathlon.
And there's no doubt about that. That's Hamish. But, if you're an employer and you want to think about CVs, you could get an application form or a CV that's been spun up with ChatGPT. How are young people going to demonstrate their achievements and the things that they're proud of and their authentic selves, in a way? And I think something like this, using this for assessment, as well as encouraging young people to use different types of media to demonstrate things that they are really proud of, that would win hands down in my book over a PDF of a text-based or even, a talking avatar. I think there's no mistake there that that's actually that young person.
Yeah, digital portfolios are a hot topic I know in the US, and to have another, if I was in the classroom, I could see students at the end of a project making something like this, at the end of a unit, or maybe at the end of a class, maybe if it's like a half-year class, or, hey, here's my experience in this class. Here's some of the things I created. Really nice. Yep.
And
personal achievements. Exactly.
Yeah. Personal achievements. And that is, that to me, in essence, is when we're thinking about teaching in the era of AI, rather than just AI tools, having the importance of communication and relationships and things that you're proud of, and demonstrating your achievements and being authentic about it. Surely that's going to have to be a really important aspect of relationships and learning and teaching. And I'm just going to put this one back on, because it wasn't just that example. We actually had like a professional CV in that interactive choice board. So it's not just, I can probably make that bigger as well. But, you could get things on Canva like that. You could easily just make into an image and then create a CV from that. Anyway, right, let me just go back to this tab, because we're just going to mention a little bit about now some of the AI tools that are going to be coming out in Thinglink. So we at the time saw lots of other edtech tools suddenly rush to start jumping on the AI bandwagon. That's what it felt like. I think it's fair to say that we suddenly saw, lots of things suddenly have touches of AI. So we started a dialogue with our community of creators, and you can go back and watch them. They've all been recorded. And we said, what's important. And these are the three things that really stood out. And also our founder and CEO, Ula, was really, really keen that we focused on before we even started to think about what the AI tools would look like. So first of all, we wanted to be transparent. We are not, AI experts, and no one is just yet. I saw a news article today, I think it was on LinkedIn, where they were saying that AI was actually able to distinguish from the brain waves that were projected onto a screen that what song they were listening to. So we all know that it's going to be developing quickly, but none of us really know exactly how it's going to turn out yet. Will it be more regulated, etc.? So we want to be transparent that we're learning about this too. we also wanted to focus on privacy, and we have bought our own installation of OpenAI that's on our servers, so that if anyone uses AI in Thinglink, it doesn't, it's not data that's gone back to a large language model. And we felt that that was really important. And then the last thing.
That's a very good thing. Yes.
Yes, it's really important. And also that we wanted to make sure there were controls in place. So if we did have AI, we wanted teachers to be able to turn it off for students, and admin can also turn it off for teachers and students, because we don't think that things should be introduced without a little bit of support and a little bit of confidence, and giving people the comfort that these are the things that we've got in place, rather than just switching it open for everyone.
Yeah, that's great too. Yeah.
Thanks. And so I've put a blog post here. If you click on this slide, it'll take you to the AI features that we have put into Thinglink. We've actually got 6 features, and I'm going to talk really about 2 today. I'm just going to show you that if I go into my Thinglink account and I hit the create button, and I'll go to Unsplash, and we've got an Unsplash catalog there that everyone can use for free, and not worry about copyright, because they all come with those rights for you to use them. And Tom, as we're talking about San Francisco, are you going to give me something to search for?
All right. Why don't we just let's do Golden Gate Bridge. And I will say, as a creative person, or as someone who thinks of themselves as a creative person, I love using Unsplash, Adobe Stock, Pexels, whatever it might be, to match what I'm doing. That to me is more exciting. What you're doing here, than like generating an image artificially. Anyway, I love Unsplash. I always love telling the kids, hey, guess what? You don't have to cite your source. We will, because Unsplash makes it easy, and we're going to be good people. And, but technically you don't. And, I love sharing and being upfront with kids about how all that works. Anyway, wonderful choice.
So you see at the top now, we have a new button which says need help creating your first tags. Hit the continue, and here you can put in a little bit of information about what your project is. So clearly I'm just going to put a bit about the Golden Gate Bridge, just to make it easy. And when you hit continue, this is going to generate 5 tags for you about your project, and you can see you can move them all about. So here's those 5 tags. You can click on each tag, and you can see here that I've got text about the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge. There's one here about the dimensions, 1.7 miles long. There you go. Didn't know that. Interesting facts and locations. So these were designed not to do your job for you. In essence, it was more of a leg up to help people to start using tags from the outset. And if you go into the tag there, you can, of course, search on Unsplash again and add more images if you wanted to. So there we've got another image there. And as you said, Tom, that's crediting the person that took that as well. I'm just going to highlight, if you click on the 3 dots there as well, you can also put a caption, and you can also add alt text in there as well, which we obviously advise people to do. So that is just a really nice way of being able to generate 5 tags, which you can edit or delete, but have a play with. So we thought that was a not too intrusive way of using AI.
I will say, if a student came to me with a Thinglink that had that specific detail without citations or sources, as a teacher, I would say, where'd you get that, pal? So that's something that you will definitely have to navigate with your students.
Yeah.
Maybe going and looking okay, this is telling me it's 1.7 miles. I actually just looked it up. It is 1.7 miles long, according to a source I found on the internet. I would love, and maybe, hey, let's fact check this. But anyway, yes.
So that's one aspect of AI in Thinglink that we wanted to show you. The next aspect of AI that I wanted to show you, and this is something that we were all quite sad about when it happened, but 2022 saw the exit of the Google Street View camera app. Not the exit of Google Street View, but the exit of the camera app. And if you were like me and many others, you were able to use the Google Street View camera app on your phone, and you would need to take pictures kind of like as though you were in the golf ball or the fish bowl or whatever you want to call it. And that was a really nice way of creating 360 images. And we saw a lot of like school classroom tours, things like that people had done. So there was a lot of conversation on our community saying, what's the alternative? And there were also lots of other concerns that schools couldn't afford 360 cameras. I mean, they are coming down in price, but yeah, I mean, any outlay is a worry at the moment. Other programs, you needed a lot of technical expertise to kind of stitch it all together. So there was no real alternative. Amanda just put a good point there. Yeah, a lot of people thought that it was very concerning. So we have introduced our own AI tool, which is Thinglink Pano to 360, where you can take a panoramic image and then upload it to Thinglink, and then we will turn it into a photosphere, which is we'll show you what that looks like. But this means, and it works on any phone, so it's not just iPhones, it's not just on Google Pixel phones. You can do this on any phone, which means that now if your students have access to mobile phones, then they can create their own virtual trips or their own 360 immersive experiences. And I just want to be really clear, because I think that if you do search for panoramic apps on the Play Store, for example, there are apps that are for panoramic or Pano, but they're not that kind of fully immersive spherical image. The panoramic view is just that kind of narrow band, which might not even be 360. But if they talk about 360, it's often the 360 panoramic rather than the full photosphere. So this is my attempt to try to explain the difference.
And so, Louise, I have a comment and I have a question. First, a comment, as far as we talk about uses of AI, just to fill in the gaps to make something from convert something from panoramic to 360 is a very innocuous use of AI. But my question is, I'm working with a school that's very budget conscious. Maybe money's been allocated. How much, if I want to have access to this Pano to 360 feature, how much would my school have to pay for that?
No, it's free. You don't even have to have a Thinglink account to use it. So we have got, and I'll put it up on the screen. So we have, it's almost just our way of kind of like offering this out to people. So if you go to thinglink.com/pano-2-360, we'll pop it in the chat for you. Here is where you can upload your panoramic image. So if I click upload, it pulls up my uploader, and then you upload your panoramic image that you've taken from your iPhone or you've taken from your Android phone, and then you'll see the download option, and then you can just upload that into Thinglink. Yeah, it's completely free, and that's our way of being able to free is, it's the price that I like as well.
Louise, I would just say, if you're watching this and you want to play with this and you don't have any panoramic images on your phone, you don't have to run outside and get one. You can do that. And I've done that. But you could also, and I did this just before we got on, you can go to the Wikipedia page for panoramic photography. where there are a number of examples of panoramic images, including one of Center City, Philadelphia from 1913. And I have now put this in. I have a sphere in Thinglink that I can edit and add my tags and add all that stuff of this panoramic image of Philadelphia from 1913. Isn't that?
Yeah, I think we should do a blog post about that, because we hadn't even really thought about that. We just thought about people taking their own with their cameras. But of course, there are places that are open source with Creative Commons licenses where you can use those panoramic images. So what we do is we use AI to kind of blur the gaps, if you like. And I've got an example which I'll show you. If I just open up a new tab and go to this one, this is a co-working space, which is we have our offices out of in Helsinki. And the 360 here, this is with a guided tour. If I just click the button, so how we've done it is we've just filled in the holes with the colored pixels, which almost gives that kind of frosted kind of glass look. And that's obviously on a ceiling. You don't really need to see the ceiling in this particular tour. If you did need to see the ceiling and the floor or your feet, you might want to use a 360 camera. But there you can see that's pretty good. And then you're able to click and go through the scenes. What we do is we cover that kind of gap at the top and the bottom. And I'll just show you another one that I had lined up.
Louise, did you take that picture?
No, I didn't. My colleague did. But
okay, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's a really cool space. So this is Helsinki. Again, this is a really amazing library called Audi. And you can see here that you couldn't tell that at all from that sky.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you do have to kind of be a little bit mindful, of where you start the background, because here you can see the seam of where it's blurred. So we advise that you start your panoramic image with kind of where you want the seam might be behind you. But what I also discovered is when I use my 360 camera, you can sometimes see the top of my head or my thumb at the bottom. So you need to kind of be careful of that. So I actually prefer doing this, because the Google Street View, you had to take all the images like this and follow the blue dots. And with this, you just follow the yellow line to do a pano. Amanda says it takes a little bit of practice, but you do get there in the end.
It really does. And you really want to start with the least important image or part of the scene, because that's where it'll get a little bit blurry. And I also learned from doing it in Times Square that when you take a panoramic image of a place with text and digital displays that are changing, things will get a little interesting. Now that's a very unique case, but just know that.
Excellent. So we've just shown you there as well the other feature. So we use Pano to 360 with our guided tours there. That's in the co-working space. And Amanda, who's now our resident expert, and I think this just went up on the screen, it's almost like the wee bit of pizza slice, which is not important. And Amanda actually designed this one, which I really like. And this is actually of a school. So here you've got the 360 image of the front of the school. You've got one button to click. And the reason we did this, as I mentioned, is because it handholds people through that experience. So it's a sequential way of having a guided tour. And you can still put Thinglinks in here and YouTube clips. But here we've got the entrance, and you've got a pulsating box over that entrance. You can't see it just now, that's gone away. But sometimes hotspots can actually cover something, and people are not sure where to put them on the 360 image because it might change your field of view. So we've just got the text at the bottom, and we will be introducing different ways and different colors to show that text. This is in beta as well, but we've also added in narration. It should
Entrance.
There we go. So it does, and you can select what language that's going to be in as well. So it narrates the text. There you can see the seam or the bit of the pizza slice. Amanda's saying that it takes out the distractions and helps to hold the hand of the student who sometimes struggles getting to school. That's a really, really great way of using school tours and virtual tours and field trips. And then she's got let's go inside, and then you go inside and you can actually see the bottom there that just looks like you've got a mat on the floor and maybe a kind of lower false ceiling or something. But the point is that now we've taken away the cost for teachers to be able to create their own 360 photospheres, and students can do this as well. And it doesn't matter if it goes wrong, or you make as many copies as you like, and have fun.
I'm sorry. If I had $1 for every teacher who I've seen voice to me or voice on social media that I don't know what I'm going to do with my Google Expeditions kits. This still comes up, years after they canceled that. You can now create scenes for your kids for free with this. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a really nice thing to I'm just going to put this on because we have to start bringing it to a close now, unfortunately. But yeah, we've seen the things like the Finch house. I just put that back on really quickly. This, or even if that 360 was a photosphere that you created, is going to work in VR on any headset. So as we do move to a world where we're seeing, I don't know if anyone's seen the Apple Pro Vision headsets and the potential of what that's going to look like. I think we're going to be seeing VR headsets make a bit of a comeback as we make that transition. But of course, if I hit the VR button here, that'll load up into VR and you can see what it's going to look like in your headsets. Is Hazel coming to join us now?
She really has. Yeah, she's right out of camera view. I'm so sorry, but I love this too because you with the headset on, you just navigate to the little, you put that dot up against the point and then you see what's there, or the hotspot, excuse me, and it's so nice.
Yeah, that does work really well. So if you're using Class VR headsets or you want to go and use Google Cardboard, if you can find a phone small enough to go in it, phones have just got so much bigger. But yeah, that's going to be an option for you there as well. I hate to say it, but we've got about 2 minutes left. I could talk to you all night, and I know that I'm going to have to get to bed soon, as it's coming up to 11 o'clock here. But Tom, I've loved talking to you throughout this webinar, and you will always continue to inspire us and be a valued member of our personal learning networks. And it's just been absolutely phenomenal to have these discussions with you this evening.
Well, same here. And I'm so excited to see this feature. And I've played with it a little bit and I look forward to playing with it more. So you just, once you have any panoramic image or any 360 image, you're good to go and you can start creating. And with these VR headsets, if you have them laying around, you may have a nice new purpose for them here. Yeah,
for sure. Please do put any last minute questions, as we've got a couple of minutes now. We're just coming into the last 90 seconds. But if you have a question, you may think of it after the webinar, you can always get in touch with Joel, as you can hear is in the chat. Madison's in the chat as well. You can always email support@thinglink.com. We love hearing your feedback. And if you've got any other ideas for other webinars or anything like that, we're trying to have webinars quite often now, every 2 weeks. So if you'd like to see a webinar on a particular thing, let us know. The next one's actually on the 13th of September. We've got a little bit of a end of summer break coming up. But in this webinar, we are going to be going step by step, right the way through that experience of creating a Thinglink for the first time. And we welcome everyone to join us. That can be if you're an educator or you're working in the e-learning space or even advertising or wherever. Everyone is welcome. And that webinar is on 13th of September. And if you can't make it, you can always catch up. Just sign up and we'll make sure that you get the replay as well. So all that's left for me to say is thank you. That was just another one that we had. If you want to go and watch that one, that's on demand as well. But I can't thank you enough, Tom. Thank you to everyone that's joined us this evening. Thank you to Joel and Madison. And have a wonderful evening, everyone. And I think that's it. We're out of time. But Tom, thanks ever so much.
You're so welcome. My pleasure, Louise.
Take care, everyone. Thanks ever so much.